What happened after the opening statements in the Jose Escalera trial? Well, I'm going to tell you what 10 different witnesses had to say. Now, some were kind of boring, but some were really interesting. And we'll conclude the recap with an interview of the first interview of Jose Escalera. And just watch this opening, and I'll be right with you. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Rebecca, your host of Crafting and Crime Daily. If you are new to the channel, welcome. I am so glad to have you. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. It would really, really help the channel out, and subscribe to the channel. So now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to talk about Jose Escalera. Listen, this trial is moving so quickly. Really super quickly. The prosecution actually said today when I was listening that they were making good time and that they'll probably rest today. I'm like, oh, wow. We haven't even gotten into the translation stuff yet. So I think they're just being optimistic. Okay. So the first person that took the stand after the opening statements, well, even before I get there, let's talk about what is this trial about? Jose Sota Escalera. Apparently, Hispanic people have 3 names. Anyway, Jose Sota Escalera. He is charged with the first-degree murder of Tania Wise. And some people say Tanya, some people say Tania. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Tanya, and that's the way her mom spelled it, Tania. But in any case, he's charged with her first-degree murder. She was 23 years old. She was 38 weeks pregnant with her second child, a little boy named Josiah. We don't know what the last name was. That's going to be an interesting question during this trial. So he is charged with her first-degree murder, and because she died, so did the infant. And we're going to hear from the medical examiner about that. So he's charged with the first-degree murder of her unborn child, which we will later learn was also his unborn child. So we first hear from Christine Gabon. She was driving around out in this area. Now, I want to show you this area that we're talking about here. So this is the area where her body was found. Now, you see this long road on the right side of the screen. That is not the road that her body was found on. It's that other road that goes off to the left. Her body was found on the south side of that road. So Christine Gabon was traveling this road. She saw what she thought was a bag of trash that was thrown out just on the side of the road. But as she passed it, she's like, well, that's more than bags of trash. So she backed up and found the body. So that was about 10:50 a.m. the day after the murder. Now, this murder is said to have occurred August 23rd of 2018. And she was traveling on this road the following evening, or the following morning, actually 10:50 a.m. the following morning. So she goes missing that night. She leaves her. We're going to hear from her mom about what time she was last seen. So she calls 911. The police get involved. The next witness on the stand is that first responding officer, road patrol. He gets the call. He goes out. He initiates the investigation. He gets the detectives out there. And later in this video, we're going to talk about the lead detective. So then the third person, person number 3 on the stand, was William Mullen. On the 23rd of August, the night that she goes missing, Tania Wise, he is out in that same area. Let me show you again. He is out in this same area. He says he travels this area regularly. So he was in that area. He was returning to his home from, this is a very rural area of Fort Myers, Florida. Driving at night. This is a 11:30 p.m. He turns off that main road, that one that you see on the right side of your screen. He turns off that main road and he goes on to the other road. And just as he's turning onto this other road, there's a truck that turns on their flashers just as he's done turns there. So the lights pop on, and this is like 100 feet down the road. And as he's going past the truck, he gets a look at it. He just felt like this was out of place. Why would somebody be out here with their lights off? It was a silver or gray truck, a large full-size truck. He said it was clean. It had chrome rims and dark tint windows. So the next day when because he said he travels this road regularly. So the next day he's on this road and the road is blocked off. So he calls 911 and says, hey, the night before, this is what I saw. So that's why he is a witness in this case, because that truck matches the description of one that's owned by the defendant, Jose Sota Escalera. Then we got witness number 4, which is, I got to take a breath. Breathe, Rebecca. I got to remember to talk slow and breathe. Anyway, I just promised my dietitian I would drink 60 ounces of water a day. Here goes. Well, not 60 ounces, but yeah. Half an ounce. There we go. Half an ounce at a time. I don't even know if that was half an ounce, but I hate water. I don't know about you guys. Give me iced coffee, give me iced tea, forget the water. Okay. So Tanya's mom takes the stand, Elizabeth, and she says Tanya was 23 years old. She had a child at home, a little boy, Jamar. He was 8 years old at the time. So he is like 15, 16 now, and I did see some teenagers coming into the courtroom, so I don't know if that was him. So then mom talked about her boyfriend being a man named Bradley Rodriguez Jr. He lived in the home with them for a time because, mom lived with Tanya and the child, or the Tanya and the child lived with mom, one or the other. But Bradley Rodriguez was living there as well. But the mom felt like he was not treating her well. So she asked him to leave, and they broke up for a period of time during which she was seeing a guy named Mark Burke, a black male named Burke, who apparently beat the crap out of her. Mom would only admit to, yes, there was violence between him and my daughter, but we hear during the Jose Escalera interview that he beat the crap out of her. She goes back to Bradley Rodriguez after this. So she was dating Bradley Rodriguez. He had only left the home in March. This is August. So it was only a few months that he wasn't living in that home. The mom says she was planning to schedule a C-section the following Tuesday. Now, I don't know if she meant she was going to go to the doctor on Tuesday and schedule the C-section, or if she was scheduling a C-section to occur on Tuesday. I don't know which one she meant. So who knows? But this, on cross-examination, she admitted that she didn't like the way Bradley treated her daughter. So that's why she was asked him to move out. She admitted the violent behavior between her daughter and this guy, Mark. But she said there was also some violent behavior between her daughter and Bradley, that he was threatening her. And this mom, Elizabeth, believed that Bradley Rodriguez was the father of her daughter's baby, of her grandson, Josiah. So the next witness number 5, was the medical examiner. Now, we know the manner of death, homicide. So we know that a medical examiner's job is to examine the body externally, internally. She went through all of her qualifications. She described the external exam, the internal exam. Photographs were shown to the jury of everything. That had to be so tough, especially when they get to where she opened the uterus and there's this baby. So the first thing they talked about was a toxicology screen that was done on two different areas of Tania Wise's body. First one was an area of the heart. That came back with a very scant amount of ethanol in it, 0.17, which is not much at all. And then they test some vitreous fluids, which is fluid from the eye. And that came back with 0 ethanol in it. And this doctor explained the reason you would see this ethanol is when the body starts to decompose, and her body was starting to decompose. This is August in Florida, the hottest month of the year. That would explain a high, not a high ethanol, but it would explain the presence of ethanol. So nothing else, no other drugs or alcohol in her system. Then she described the wounds. As the jury is viewing the photographs, she said there was a visible, large, gaping, full thickness wound on the back of the head that you could actually see the skull through. So that was as a result of a blunt force object. There's different measures of force: blunt force, sharp force. In this case, you've got both, but the head was the blunt force. So someone hit her over the head with a heavy object. Then she had a sharp wound, which would probably be a knife, 2 centimeters by 0.5 centimeters in depth. Now, 2.5 centimeters is an inch. So this is like almost an inch long wound in the left clavicle. This is your clavicle right here. So this is where there's a 1-inch wound here. And then she had 2 different lines of stabbing wounds, like incised wounds across her neck. That would one wound, they merged together at some point. So what it was is that whoever this perpetrator was, they tried once, it didn't go all the way with it. And then they tried a second time, they probably even a third time, because that first time was probably the clavicle. And then they did the other 2 cuts that merged together into one cut that started at the front of her neck and goes all the way around to the back of her neck, completely, like, you could see her vertebrae. It was pretty bad. It was 7.5 inches long, the wound, and 1.5 inches in depth. That's deep. That's really deep. 1.5 inches, guys. Oh, horrible. So then she got to the baby. She took the uterus. They opened the uterus. There's the baby, fully formed, almost to term, healthy, nothing wrong with this baby. Perfect baby, except it was deceased. Because when mom's oxygen stopped, so did the oxygen flow to the baby, and that's what killed the baby. Basically, the baby suffocated in the womb. Horrible. Then on cross, the defense attorney's like, well, did you know that her OB said she was only 31 weeks pregnant? And she's like, okay. What, do you want to see the records? No. Because it doesn't matter what the OB said. She's still got to say what she saw. A fully formed term baby. Okay. That could have survived outside the womb. Could have survived. Were you aware that her estimated date of confinement was October 15th? This is the end of August we're talking about here. And she's like, no, wasn't aware of it. She hadn't reviewed any of those records, didn't need to review any of those records, because she's just doing her autopsy. This is what I saw. Okay. She didn't need to review all that. So that was her testimony. Then they took a little break because there was some argument about whether or not this woman that they want to call as a witness, the prosecution wants to call a crime scene investigator to the stand who apparently just had a baby and is not just not in the healthy condition to come into court. And the judge actually knew this person. He said, she's appeared in my courtroom many times. Clearly, this is not a case where she's trying to get out of testifying. And no, I'm not going to make her appear by Zoom. Just they had already recorded her testimony knowing she was pregnant and that she might miss the trial. So they said, they all agreed that they would play the testimony of this crime scene investigator. Now, before we go any further, there's some other photos I forgot to show you. And I'm just going to put a trigger warning up here. I'm going to show you photos of the body, but it's not blood. It's not gore. It just looks like a body sitting there. So that dirt road that I showed you here that they found her on, here is they had a crime scene investigator take the stand who took photographs of the scene. And these were some of the photographs that she took. You can see there's some blue on towards the middle top of the screen. That is the body of Tania Wise. And then there's a little closer. You can see that she was face down in that little divot area there. And then I don't know if it's a ditch or what it is. And there is another angle. So nothing graphic, but beyond that, that's all that the audience, that we got to see as the YouTubers or the YouTube audience. Yeah. So let's go to the next witness. And that would have, well, we can just finish up with that crime scene investigator. They showed all kinds of photographs to the jury. She also attended the autopsy. So she took photographs, she collected evidence, she collected DNA, she collected all the usual stuff, She was also the person that went into the defendant's Dodge Ram and collected evidence. She said they did the Blue Star testing on the vehicle and removed a section of the carpet for testing based on the Blue Star results, a sun visor, an area of the driver's side seatbelt, and several areas of the driver's door. They also swabbed those areas for DNA. Then they had a tire impression expert. I don't know where. He said he compared a tire impression to impressions that were taken from the scene. I don't know where this came. He didn't go to the scene. He didn't collect the tire impression. Somebody collected it and gave it to him. He says it didn't match. The tire impression that he examined did not match the impression from the scene. So I never figured out what he was comparing. But it didn't make any sense to me, that testimony. Moving on. The lead detective. Oh, well, they did show that crime scene investigator, the other one that couldn't make it. They showed her testimony that had been pre-recorded. She also was at the scene collecting evidence. So then we have the lead detective, Christopher Newman. He works in the criminal investigation unit for St. Lucie County. So what they did through him was bring in a video. Now, I'm going to post that video. I'm going to upload that video separately. It's maybe hour and a half if you want to watch it. I'm not going to show you that video. It is lengthy, but I'll describe some of the highlights of it if you don't want to go watch it. This is when they bring in Jose Sota Escalera for his first interview. This is the day after. So the murder occurs Thursday night, just to set this thing up. Murder occurs the 23rd, Thursday night. Last time she's seen is 8:30 p.m. Mom says she had gone out because she went out to purchase drinks for her son's lunch the next day. While grandma's giving him a bath, getting him ready for bed, she's going to run to the store and get drinks for him the next day. Never comes back. So this detective brings in Jose Escalera. Now, he brought in a bunch of other people that, they're trying to figure out, everybody that Tania knew, and they're trying to interview them, and Jose Escalera was one of them. So he talks about that Jose did, that he was friends with this Bradley Rodriguez Jr., that he's a friend of mine. And he says, that's how I met Tania. That, he introduced me to Tania. He says, but we were just friends, Tania and I. And then he kept saying, well, we weren't friends like that. We're just acquaintances mainly. He didn't use the word acquaintances, but we weren't friends like that, is what he would say. He also has a 9-year-old. And at the time, he said she would come over to his house and drop her son off. They were the same age, and they would play together. Sometimes he'd be there for a few days, maybe the weekend. And he says, actually, she was supposed to come up yesterday, and she never showed up. She's supposed to come on Friday, didn't show up. Now, let me set the stage for you in this interview room. Typical interview room, there's 2 cops, the good cop, the bad cop. 2 guys, the lead detective and another person in the room. And then you have Jose, who's wearing 2 t-shirts and a reflective vest because he worked for Waste Pro. And I don't know if he just came from work. I suspect so. But he's got a green shirt, a blue shirt, then a green shirt. And then he's got this reflective vest and this goofy hat. Like, I don't know what you call those hats, but they have a wide brim on them. Anyway, he's wearing this hat. Like he just walked off the garbage truck and he came in for his interview. So let's continue on. Then he talked about this Mark Burke. He says because they're saying, do you know Mark Burke? Oh yeah, Mark Burke was another one of her boyfriends. In between, breakups with Bradley, she dated this guy, Mark Burke. Excuse me. Then she also had a friend named Gianni Alvaretto, and he's like, no, they were just friends. And then there was Eric Alvaretto that she was friends with. He goes, that's my nephew. And he says, I was like an uncle to Bradley. So this is all like one little circuitous happy family, apparently, or very tight community. It feels like everybody's related to everybody in some fashion. But anyway, they tell him, Tania we found her. She's dead. And he's like, oh, not a real, oh. I don't know if he knew that coming in or he didn't act entirely surprised, but not real emotional at all. Not at all. So he says, I really didn't keep in touch with Tania. We weren't friends like that. I watched her son. He says, she used to strip years ago. Apparently she stripped. She ever stripped for you? No. Did you ever have relations with her? No. Did you ever have sex with her? No. Are you the father? No. So he talks about, they're like, well, you're married, right? Yeah. How long you been married? 2.5 years. You have kids. He goes, I have several kids. 25-year-old, 24-year-old, 17-year-old, and a 9-year-old. All boys. Josiah was a boy. This guy couldn't father girls, apparently. So all boys, and it wasn't clear to me who the mother was, but later on during the interview, when they actually go to do his buccal swab for DNA, because he consents to that, he says, oh, that test. Yeah, that's how I found out one of my other kids was mine. What? Oh boy. Okay. So he doesn't look shocked at all. He said the last time he talked to her was on Wednesday, or maybe it was Thursday. She was supposed to bring her son over on Friday. The other thing about this is, when he finds out she's dead, he doesn't say, "Oh, what about the baby?" He just says, "Oh, oh." Like, my first response, "Well, what about the baby? What? The baby? She's pregnant with my baby. What about the baby?" No. He says, she used guys. She just used them for money. Apparently, Bradley Rodriguez was paying for her cell phone, according to Elizabeth, her mother. Apparently, she was always asking Bradley for money. He did admit that one time Bradley did hit her, but this was not the time that the police were called. That was another time when Mark Burke beat the crap out of her. He says, "I have never been with her sexually." No. And they said, "Well, she was pregnant." And he didn't flinch. Oh. So they asked him if he would give a DNA sample. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll give one." So they leave the room to go get that set up. And while they're leaving the room, he makes a phone call. I don't know who the phone call was to, but he's like, "Yeah, I'm at the police station. I'm just being honest. I'm just telling them everything." And just very nonchalant, no emotion. It's not, So when they come back, they actually do the DNA, the buccal swab, and then the lead detective comes back in and he asks for a cell phone. And he says, "Sure, you can have my cell phone." He's like, "We're just going to download it, then we'll give it right back to you." Okay, you can do that. So they bring in the second detective. He says, "Here, you have to sign this to get permission," and he signs it. And then they start talking about his vehicle. And he gives them permission to search his vehicle, signs the form for that. So here's my impression to you. My impression was this is a guy who knew Tania Wise, but didn't, he comes off as someone who had no idea who the father of this child was and no interest. That he just figured this child was his good friend Bradley's, and that he just went on, if he ever did sleep with her, which he says he didn't, that, this was his friend's girlfriend and she was pregnant with his kid. That's the vibe he was giving. Like nothing that would tell you, "Hey, I'm guilty. I'm trying to hide information from you." Never got that vibe from this guy. So that was basically it. The alibi. He was home that night with his wife. I was home. He didn't leave till the following morning at 5 a.m. to do his truck route. And he does admit that where her body was found is on his route. And one of the comments he made is like, "Man, this shit's crazy." He was asked about his Facebook page. "Do you have a Facebook?" "Yes." So apparently the detective had already looked at his Facebook, and Tania Wise was his friend. But then after they have this conversation about Facebook, and the guy leaves the room and comes back, he's like, "Any idea why Tania Wise was deleted off your Facebook?" And he goes, I wasn't friends with Tania Wise on Facebook that I know of." So he was either he's totally innocent or he's just playing dumb. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the description. Those are the 10 witnesses so far in the trial of Jose Sota Escalera. It's an interesting case. So I will see you in the next video tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and take care. Bye.